Hi, in this video we're going to look a little bit at how the best way to approach G041. G041 is the exam unit for the GC Applied ICT course, and if you're taking a single qualification, it's worth 33% of the marks at AS level. If you're doing a double, it's worth 16.67%, so it's a very important unit. It's often a unit where a lot of students find it a bit more challenging for various reasons. Some people because they're not the biggest fan of exams, and some people because they find the kind of more business context a bit more challenging. What we're going to talk about in this video is a little bit how we approach it here at Cramlington Learning Village, and what we think is the best way to try and make students make the best progress and to come up with the best mark in this unit. So part of it, there is some pre-release tasks. There's three of them. There's task 1, task 2 and task 3. Task 1 is where they basically look through the pre-release notes that have been given, and there's a certain set of bullet points, and what we do with the students is we go through those and we talk about what each bullet point kind of is trying to get at. We talk and discuss it. We're not allowed to obviously point out where any of those things are, but we can kind of give students a few clues from maybe previous pre-releases just to show them evidence of how they could do that. We get them to write word for word what's in the pre-release. This is incredibly important, and incredibly important for the mark scheme. Having marked this exam before, I know that it's word for word. Section A of the exam is word for word what comes out of the pre-release, so it's really important to just keep that. That might seem a little bit alien to some students because they've been told for years not to just copy and paste, but in this case they actually need to copy down the notes. Not copy and paste everything, because in the exam certain questions will ask them certain things, but copy down what they feel is relevant. Then we move on to task 2. Task 2 is worth 15 marks. In my opinion, every single student pretty much will be getting 15 marks. So what we do first is we teach the students how to do the flow diagram in terms of how it should look and the layout. We can't tell them how to actually answer the question because it's an exam and it's pre-release material, but what we can do is we can go through things like, each of the different people involved. We can put them in a rectangle. Got to be a rectangle we teach them. We teach them also to use lines, and to be really careful about the arrowheads, particularly if they're drawing it on a piece of software like Word or some other on-computer software, because often students will draw in the lines or draw in the arrows and not kind of check which way the arrowheads are going, and that's really important because if they get it wrong they lose marks. We also show them a little diagram example that we've got, and I'll try to put a link below here, which looks at how the best way of doing that is. So often, sometimes as an examiner, I used to get examples where people had crossed over the line, and basically then it was a kind of case of thinking, well actually, is it clear which line's going to where? Sometimes that can become ambiguous and the student would lose the mark. That's really important. Other thing is we teach them a standard way of writing what information's going somewhere and how it's getting there. So we teach our students on the top of the arrow to put down what information, so order form or order information or price or whatever it is, and then the bottom we get to write what it is, how it's done, so face to face, fax, email, whatever we think needs to come to there, and we kind of give the students a few of those in terms of ideas of what they could write underneath. Obviously again not for the current pre-release, but we do explain to them that these sort of things have been used in the past to give them an idea. So the other important thing is that sometimes what students do is they basically have like a kind of diagram which does this, comes down, and for some reason kind of comes down like in a linear but kind of slightly odd fashion. That's not what it should look like. It should basically look like a shape with lots of different arrows connecting them. There shouldn't be any boxes that are not connected to the rest of the boxes. Sometimes students put like 2 or 3 boxes at the bottom and it doesn't fit in with what the rest of the diagram, and it's really important that everything should be connected in some sort of way. That doesn't mean every box needs to connect every box, but the whole diagram needs to kind of flow into itself. So I think that's a really easy task normally. 15 marks. In my opinion, most students will get 15. Lastly, we're going to look at task 3. So task 3 is a written report which says it's a maximum of 500 words. Now, as per usual, at the moment, currently, most exam boards will allow plus or minus 10%, so they can write 549. So we recommend that our students spend the first 500 words talking about the content, what they've been asked to do, data protection, whatever it might be, and the last 49 words doing those things that are worth 3 marks. So it's worth 15 marks overall. The first 12 for the written part, the first big written part, and the last 3 for the evaluation. For the evaluation, really easy to get full marks there. They've got one sentence about the methods they took. So as they will talk about the report, it's not what it's asking for, it's asking for the methods. One thing that what was good about their methods, and one thing that they could improve in the future to make it better. So if they put those things in there, they'll easily get 3 marks. The other bit, the 12 marks, is a banded response. So you get lower marks, middle marks, and higher marks. And those areas depend on how many positives and negatives they put down, or how many different ideas they put down. Particularly important is balance. So if it is about positives and negatives, then obviously there are a range of positive and negatives. So as you'll see, some students' work will pretty much just have positive, some students' work will pretty much just have negatives, and that's not really balanced. We'd also expect students in the middle or higher mark bands to expand upon their answers, to use P sentences to give really clear evidence of what they're talking about. You know, if it was a Data Protection Act and they give one of the principles of the Data Protection Act, and that's what the question was about, then they would explain that in more depth, just to kind of help a little bit. So that's kind of a little bit how we do the pre-release. Often we start off on task 2 and 3 for obvious reasons, because they're worth the marks. Once task 2 and 3 are done, then we go back to task 1 and spend a few lessons on that. Normally, you know, a couple of lessons per bullet point. First lesson will be like an input into what that means, looking at examples, etc, etc. The second lesson will be a little bit more kind of allowing the students that time to independently get on and kind of make progress with their task 1 pre-release. So that's a little bit about G041 and the applied course, and that's how we cover the pre-release tasks 1, 2 and 3.